I'll give you 3 rolls on the tower, and whatever we land on, that is where we start.
Okay, wow, this is intense.
Can you give us one audition high and one audition low and how you overcame that low?
Whoa. Okay, high was I auditioned for First Man, which was a movie that I did with Damien Chazelle. And I went into it thinking it was never going to happen. And then at the end of the audition, he went, okay, so do you want to come and have breakfast with Ryan? As in Ryan Gosling. And I went, okay, this is what's happening? And then we went and had breakfast with Ryan. And I went, I'm presuming it's gone well, because otherwise I don't think I would be here having this breakfast. But that was a very, I thought I would be in and out, but I was there for quite a few hours. So that was a very great and exciting audition. Awful auditions have been too many to count. Every audition I walked away from, I would cringe for days thinking about what I'd said and done. I think one of the worst ones was a film I got, which is quite ironic, which was a film called Season of the Witch with Nicolas Cage. And I had to pretend to be exorcised by a priest with the devil inside me in a very, very small room in Soho in London, where you would sit and have the audition. On the other side of the door, there was another girl who looked identical to you waiting to go in. And that was a real low.
You're working on the set of Women Talking, and all of a sudden a zombie outbreak happens. You can pick 2 co-stars to be on your survival team.
That is not fair.
Who do you pick to give yourself the best chance of surviving?
That is not fair. Jessie Buckley, just definitely. I think she's good at fighting. She's good at thinking her way out of a problem. She would keep me happy. That would be great. The other spot is very difficult. Rooney might be quite good at negotiation with the zombies. I think she would be good spiritually. But then there's Ben. I don't know how useful Ben would be with zombies. There's too many. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't do that one.
What is something that you did for a role that now makes you say, I'm really glad that I got to try that at one point, but I don't ever have to do that again?
I don't really want to ride a horse again. Just putting that out there. I had some very, very bad experiences with horses on set. But who knows? Maybe I will get back in the saddle. I don't know whether I can say them. And they're all basically to do with feeling uncomfortable and taken advantage of. So, no, I can't say that. Oh my God, I don't know. Oh, hey, let's do Women Talking. Women Talking, we had to grow our leg hair.
Okay.
And I would like not to do that again. That for me would be I've been there, I've done that. I've relived my childhood. I don't want to do that again. Thanks.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back for a brand new edition of Collider Ladies Night, and I am beyond thrilled to get to welcome Claire Foy to the show for Women Talking. Huge, huge, huge congratulations on the movie.
Thank you.
It's one thing to say I want to be an actor. It's another to really feel the need to do it. So I guess, do you remember the very first time on set you could feel acting become like an itch that you desperately needed to keep scratching?
I think it was when I was at drama school. I think I went to drama school with very little understanding of what it would take to actually be an actor, or what was involved, or the skills you had to have, any of those things. And I think you had drama school, you did a lot of preparation for it. You did a lot of Stanislavski exercises and a lot of, prep around the skills that you might have to be able to do it. And then when I did my first play at drama school, I went, oh, it's good. I like doing it. I loved it. It was terrifying, and I was worried I was getting it wrong all the time. But at the same time, I was like, this feels really, really, really good.
So having gone through that program, what's one thing that you learned in it that you still use to this day? But then on the other hand, what's something that all the schooling in the world could never have prepared you for when you hit your first professional stage or set?
That's such a good question. I think the things I mean, there's so many things from drama school that I use all the time. I think one of them, like getting it really badly wrong, was basically my way of learning what worked for me or what would help me. I think one of the voice teachers at the school once said, if you're on stage or you're acting in some way and you're feeling like it's not happening, just stop and take a breath. Just take a breath. You're probably not breathing, which is really important. But also for me, I think it was, I fundamentally realized that acting genuinely was not about myself. It was about affecting another person. It was about the person you were acting with. How are you going to make them change? How are you going to make them see your point of view? You're always trying to get something out of somebody in life. Everyone's trying to affect everybody in their life, whether it's other people or themselves. They're always kind of trying to get a response or a reaction or change someone. And that is the most helpful thing to me in the world. I think a lot of the time as an actor, you're meant to feel like it should all be about you or like the spotlight's on you. And actually it's the opposite. If you just focus on the other person, then you just start doing it. You're just doing it. You're basically in the room listening and that's it. I think the thing that I wasn't prepared for was, oh God, it not being able to be, there are technical elements to it. Like, it not being able to be all about the experience and the feeling. Like sometimes it's about waiting for the light and you've got to be ready to go when you have to go. Sometimes it's about you know, saving yourself. Someone else has got, you're doing everyone else's shots before your own. But you've got to get there. You've got to get there every time for the people that you're with and the people and then for yourself and somehow navigating that.
For us, of course, here in the States, The Crown was labeled your breakout performance, the thing that changed everything. But the definition of breakout performance can mean something very different from our perspective compared to how it might feel for you. So Can you pinpoint maybe one misconception about what it can mean to have your breakout in Hollywood, but then also what's something that really did feel like it changed for the better when you broke out with The Crown?
You're so good at asking questions. I've been working for like 10 years by the time I got The Crown. So I did feel a bit like long in the tooth when it happened. I was a bit like, so what? I had got to a point in my career where I was just like, well, that's not going to happen for me. Like that, I mean, I don't know who that happens to. Like, it was a pretty extraordinary experience. But I was very lucky that it wasn't at the beginning of my career. I was very lucky I wasn't overwhelmed by it or took it too seriously, basically, or personally, you know. So it was amazing. But I also was very much had my own life and knew how to do my job by that point. So I was very lucky. I think it, and this is another thing that Matt Smith actually told me. He said the most important thing to remember, he'd already had it because he'd done Doctor Who, basically. And he said, you know, what I think is really interesting about it is that everybody thinks you've changed, but you've stayed exactly the same. It's just everyone's opinion of you has changed. You know, everybody around you suddenly thinks of you differently and you think of yourself the same. And that is, I understand that might be like that's not difficult, but there is something to navigate about that because you still have all the same opinions and insecurities or beliefs about yourself. And then suddenly everybody else is like, got a completely different, thinks of you now differently, that you apparently move through the world in a different way, even though you still feel exactly the same. But I think the thing is not to fight it. Like, you can't control what other people think of you ever. So you may as well just be in charge of your own life.
What would you say is the most challenging scene that you've ever done? One that can now make you look back and think like, well, if I was able to do that then, now I can do anything.
Yeah, so I played Anne Boleyn in a TV show called Wolf Hall. And I mean, ridiculous that I got to play that part in the first place anyway. I loved the novels and I could not believe I had been given that role. I could not believe it. And I had to play her when she was executed. And she had her head chopped off. And I did not know. I don't know. There was something about it that I trusted I trusted for the first time probably that the feeling would come and I would know how to do it and I would know what to do when I was in that moment and there were all those people staring at me my life was about to get taken away from me. And it was a real lesson that sometimes you have to trust that you will feel the right thing at the right time. And I think I was definitely, as an actor, wanted to leave very little up to chance. I wanted to know how the day would go, where the structure would be, what the weather would be like everything really. So I felt secure enough to do it and not really, paranoid. But that was a real, performing that scene, I was like, sometimes you just got to let it go. Sometimes you just got to be there and trust that you know what you're doing.
On the set of this film, I imagine it might feel like you're right smack in the middle of like basically an acting masterclass. So just to highlight the different techniques people can use, can you give me an example of two women talking actors who have totally different approaches to the work, where when you're their scene partner for a scene that's highlighting them specifically, you're going to have a different acting experience?
All of them. That was one of the most amazing things about this experience, was that there were so many talented, incredible people in that room. And yet we all respected each other's kind of approach to work. I think I was surprised every single day by what I saw. Every single day. I loved watching Rooney act. I just found her to be so, I think what she brought to that role was absolutely incredible. And I felt very, very close to her. And I just loved watching her skill, basically, which seems completely effortless. But I'm presuming is not. I don't know. But she just seems so easy for her and so, effortless. I think I loved watching Sheila McCarthy. I think she is an absolute pro and has experienced so much. And she was able to pull out a performance which was so vulnerable and incredible. Same with Judith. I found it very difficult to look Judith in the eye. I wanted to cry every time I looked at her. There's just something so incredibly open and genuine about her as a performer. Ben could read. He could just sit there and do absolutely nothing and I would be rapt. And Jessie, I've got all the time in the world for her. I just found her so motivating and so inspiring to watch. She attacks things with an absolute lust for life that I just think is extraordinary. All of them. Kate and Liv was extraordinary to be around those young actors. Michelle, I can't. It's just, too many.
How much are you considering the range of acting experience in the ensemble? Because you have legends like Judith Ivey and you have Oscar nominees and winners all around you, but then you have some people who are either getting their first screen credit or just the beginning stage of their career. So is there anything you could strive to do for some younger, newer actors like that to, I guess, make sure they get the greatest first experience? Maybe something you wish you had when you first started out that now you can do for them?
Yeah, I don't know how helpful I was. I kept basically scaring them, I think. I don't know. I wanted them to know that they were not at the mercy of the system. They were not at the mercy of this film. They, I just kept saying, look, a lot of us have been working quite a long time and this is just not helpful at all. But I was just like, please don't feel like you have to sacrifice yourself personally for what you're doing. Don't take yourself to a place that you don't think you can come back from. Don't feel like you have to bleed for this. You can, yes, there is an element of that, but protect yourself. You're so young. Please don't hurt yourself. Please don't hurt yourself. And I didn't really have to worry about that because obviously Sarah was, she acted very young. I think she always had one eye on them. And also they are just, tough. I think my insecurity about it was probably completely unfounded because they're much more mature than I am now. So I don't know how much help I was. And there was a therapist on set and everything. So I think for them, a first experience of making a movie, like this is, I mean, I hope all of their experiences are like this. I hope. And I really believe that they will go into their next jobs with an expectation of what a film could be like.
I am going to send you a big, big congratulations on this film. Thank you for talking about women talking, but also about your entire career overall. And as it's always been, I cannot wait to see even more from you.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun. Thanks so much.